In recent times, there has been a push to introduce ancient Sanskrit books into the educational curriculum. The RSS and many Dvija writers believe that Indian cultural and civilizational progress should be viewed solely through ancient Sanskrit texts. They claim that all modern scientific developments in the world are rooted in the knowledge contained within these texts. The emphasis on Sanskrit has resulted in immense pressure on our children to learn the language. But just think, how many modern books are written in Sanskrit today? Brahmins or Dvija writers, on the other hand, predominantly write in English or other Indian languages. If Sanskrit is such a river language of spirituality and science, why don't they write in it? Do the Vedas, Upanishads, Brahmanas, Ramayana, and Mahabharata possess any divine essence, let alone scientific knowledge? These texts primarily explore the human essence, lacking universal ethics and values. Let's see why. Divine essence calls for two things that ancient Sanskrit literature lacks. One is the notion of equality among all human beings. The other is prioritizing food production as a central theme. Sanskrit texts fail to fulfill these two critical criteria. The Vedas, Upanishads, Brahmanas, and Puranas have traditionally been referred to as the sacred books of India. In recent years, the Bhagavad Gita has been projected as a sacred book on a broader scale. Here again, the Gita primarily revolves around Yuddha Dharma, which pertains to war methods. There is little divine essence encompassing production, distribution, and human relations. It is a general perception that God, as a universal creator, should not divide people into slaves and masters or into different castes. Instead, God should be concerned with human survival and progress, emphasizing the importance of hard work. However, ancient Sanskrit books fail to address these essential aspects. There is a near complete absence of productive forks and production processes in those books. Consider the stories of Brahma, Indra, Agni, Vayu, the Pandavas and Kauravas, Sri Ram, Ravana. They were rulers, warriors, and so on. Most of them were said to have come from Brahmin and Kshatriya castes. There are characters like Hanuman, Bali, and Sugriva whose caste is not mentioned, but there are no visible Shudra heroes in most texts. There are figures like Sri Krishna, Karna, and Shambhuga who are mentioned as Shudras, but even they are not portrayed as agrarian food producers. They are mostly involved in war or diplomacy. Occasionally, cattle appear around Sri Krishna. Not that he was using them for tilling the land, but just grazing and playing with them. In fact, in the entire gamut of epics, Krishna was the only divine figure who was said to have had intimacy with cattle. Most others deal with war, weapons, horses, chariots, and so on. All these are not the essential tasks of divine figures. All the Brahmin saints, with some exceptions like Vishwamitra, who came from a Kshatriya social background, were concerned about their own moksha. Social welfare does not appear in their life story narratives. All Brahmin saints viewed food production and instrument making as undivine jobs. They condemned agriculture and artisanal activity as spiritual pollution. So what did the mighty rulers eat? Who made their fine clothes and arms? How did those producers live? The Sanskrit texts have little to offer. No ancient spiritual books of Israel, Egypt, Greece, or China shied away from talking about food producers, tool makers, or craftsmen. But in all Sanskrit books, they were untouchable to the spiritual system, and the book writers avoided talking about them. So what do children learn by reading those texts now? If children from oppressed castes see their parents doing the works that do not get appreciated in the Sanskrit books, what do they think about their own parents? Learning a language that's hardly used today only depletes their energy and becomes a hindrance to their progress. These thoughts are critical for all parents who send their children to school, college, and university now. No child should be allowed to live in a self-denial culture. Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.